So the numerous conflicts of interest Donald Trump has, I would argue, should make him ineligible to be sworn in until those businesses are placed in a blind trust. But unfortunately, I don't make the rules. Now, Donald Trump claims that there's no longer a conflict of interest because he's going to be ceding control of all of his businesses to his sons. Well, Donald Trump, that's not exactly how it works. That doesn't ameliorate the conflict of interest. And George W. Bush's attorney, Richard Painter, even came out and said Donald Trump's conflict of interest, there's still, in fact, a problem. Now, before I get to what he said, because I think he makes a very valid point here, I want to remind you that Richard Painter was the attorney for one of the most corrupt, detestable presidential administrations in American history. So the fact that this guy even has a concept of ethics in his head is surprising to me, but it goes to show you just how pressing this matter actually is. So he states, Mr. Trump will simply turn management of the businesses over to a trustee chosen by him and to two of his sons, Donald Jr. and Eric. This is not a separation at all, and from a conflict of interest vantage point, it won't work, Richard Painter argued in a New York Times op-ed published Thursday. Painter outlined 3 issues with the arrangement that he said wouldn't prevent conflicts of interest. First, if Mr. Trump continues to own the businesses, he will continue to receive payments they earn from the dealings with foreign governments, he said. He argued most of the payments will be received in violation of the emoluments clause of the Constitution, which expressly forbids anyone in public office from receiving any gifts, salary, or profits of any kind from transactions with foreign governments without the consent of Congress. Because if President Trump still owns the businesses, or he is the beneficiary of a trust that owns the businesses, he receives the economic benefit, the emolument, from all of these transactions, Painter added. The former White House attorney also argued that Trump's plan does not remove conflicts of interest and global security threats posed by his existing business relationships with politicians and politically connected businessmen around the world. Third, and perhaps the most dangerous to our national security, our president could be beholden and indebted to undisclosed lenders and other investors around the world, Painter wrote in his op-ed. So this is common sense, and Donald Trump is now representative of what I think is the new definition of corruption. Donald Trump claimed this.
It is time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. We are going to drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. We're going to drain the swamp of Washington. We're going to have fun doing it. We're all doing it together.
And after months of him railing against Hillary Clinton's conflicts of interest, how she took money from the Clinton Foundation and did favors for her donors while she was Secretary of State, and rightfully calling her out for that, now he's doing what Hillary Clinton did, but on a greater scale. This is corruption because you're personally profiting from this. You are connected to your sons. You speak with your sons on a daily basis. So to think that there's no conflict of interest is a fucking joke. And Donald Trump should be ashamed of himself that he talked a big game about draining the swamp and whatnot when he's not willing to drain his own goddamn swamp. And to me, I don't think that Donald Trump ever ran with the intention of actually becoming president, because someone who's serious about becoming the president, well, they would know that these business interests would cause a problem inevitably if they were elected. But for Donald Trump, he decided to run because he wanted publicity, presumably to launch a media network, and then he ended up winning, and now he's realizing, well, I'm not going to give up my business interests. This makes me very, very wealthy. It makes me rich. Why would I do that? The salary for a president is $400,000 a year, and he's pledged to not even take that. So, of course, he wants the money stream to keep rolling in. But the problem, Donald Trump, is that we don't know if you're going to represent our interests. We don't know if you're going to go to foreign countries to do government business for us, or if you're going to try to enrich yourself. I mean, when you spoke with foreign leaders, when you called up Nigel Farage, for example, and he congratulated you, you talked about business interests. You talked about a golf course in the UK. This shouldn't even be a question. He should not be sworn in until he places his business in a blind trust. That's the only way to ensure that it's not going to influence your decisions as president. You are the chief diplomat, Donald Trump. And so I want to make sure that you are our chief diplomat. You are representing our interests and not the interests of your business. So it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. The fact that people are satisfied with him saying that his sons will take over control, that doesn't get rid of the conflict of interest. It doesn't. I'm sorry. So Donald Trump, is corrupt. And I think that if he does not get rid of this and place them in a blind trust, then we need to start talking about impeachment, because this is corruption.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.